At the state level, you've got Beverly Purdue closing prisons at a time when we're rearresting the same people over and over again. It hasn't ended. They're still breaking into our cars. And we're releasing them, and she's closing prison, and she hadn't helped the probation system whatsoever. It's been 1 year. The only thing she's done is appoint Tony Rand to the head of the parole or whatever committee. And he's going to have a busy year next year. At the local level, we've got Democratic county commissioners who would rather cut money from our local jails than cut some of the waste in social services. I know that's a fact. There's a difference between Republicans and Democrats on these issues, and we need to clarify those issues. Fourth issue. What was Ronald Reagan and Dwight Eisenhower, even in dealing with the Pentagon? I was impressed with Dwight Eisenhower. What was Ronald Reagan and Dwight Eisenhower and others, Republicans, famous for up until, frankly, the last 4 years of the Bush presidency? Huh?
Deficit hawks.
Smaller government.
Deficit hawks, tax decreases, and government efficiency. We should own that issue against the Democrats at the local, state, and federal level. Do we all agree that that is a primary platform? And what's the first thing Beverly Purdue did when she became governor? She raised the corporate tax, she raised the income tax, she raised the sales tax during the worst recession ever. If you're running for state legislature, you're going to repeat that over and over and over again. If you're running for the U.S. Congress or U.S. Senate, what's the major part of the health care legislation? It's a tax increase. And they say they're getting rid of abuse. This is just amazing. We should own the issue of government efficiency and look for ways. Eisenhower, a hero of mine, even looked at waste in the Pentagon. Remember that? For those of this generation, I was a young boy.
It was toilet seats, wasn't it?
Everything. That actually happened during Nixon's administration when they had $20,000 toilet seats. We should be questioning the expenditures of any waste involved at any level of government. And we as Republicans got to have the courage to do that, even in programs that we like. And we ought to repeat this over and over again and demand this accountability. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
All right. Let me ask you again. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
All right. The fifth issue. And I should have made it number one. And I'm giving this consistent message because I'm talking to the people who have the courage to run for office right now. And I'm talking to people who have the courage to support people running for office. And I thank you for doing that. The fifth issue where we should own this, and sometimes we don't own it because we have fallen down on this issue when we're in control. What's happening in the state right now? What's the big issue in state government right now that's just hanging over the head and embarrassing the
budget
state?
deficit.
Like Louisiana.
Corruption.
Ladies and gentlemen, ethics and values and following the law is an issue we should own. And that's the fifth issue we should run on. And by the way, we lost the House in the U.S. Congress because we got arrogant with power last time we ran. And we lost it because we did some stupid things. And that swayed the independent voter. The independent voter is going to vote for the person, not necessarily they agree with all the time, but the person they trust. It's a big issue with the independent voter. And right now, we've got at the federal level, the Nebraska deal, the Louisiana deal, the Florida deal, the new Connecticut deal, the union deal. People, the independent voter, and most Democrats, they can't stand it. The Democrats are swallowing hard right now. They hate it. And the independents are going, there must be something wrong with this bill. Ladies and gentlemen, that's an ethical issue. That's a value issue. At the state government, you know, when this guy starts crying, who was 51 indictments now, the chief of staff, you could have a lot more people fall. But I'm telling everyone who's running for office right now, if you win, and if we get the majority, do not get the arrogance that the majority tends to do. ego checks around you. I was mayor for 14 years. I had a little group of 5 people. I called them my ego checks. And whenever they saw me start believing this stuff, and believing that people wanted to take my picture and sign my autograph, they'd go snap out of it, McCrory. My wife, one time, I went and met with the president and got on a private jet and flew to meet with the president and all this stuff. They picked me up, and then I went and met with the NBA, and then I had a TV meeting. I was on ESPN. I got home at 11:30, and my ego was out to here. And I walked in the door, and my wife yelled from the back room, "Pick up your damn socks and go walk the dog." I said, "Yes, ma'am." Do you understand the message I'm telling you who are running for office or hold office right now? Do not come across as arrogant. Do not get caught. It's so easy, believe me. Madam Vice Chairman, isn't it easy? Everyone tells you what you want to hear. Everyone's kind of catering to you. It's addicting. And it happens to Republicans and it happens to Democrats. And it happened to Democrats so quickly. It usually takes a little more than a year. It took them less than a year to get this arrogance in Washington. They've had the arrogance for 3 decades in Raleigh. Ladies and gentlemen, we can run on that issue if our current candidates keep their ego in place. And we ought to run on the issue of ethics and values. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
What are the 5 issues? What's the first one? I'm testing. Private sector jobs. What's the second one? Infrastructure, because government invests in long-term infrastructure. What's the third one? Protecting our citizens, public safety. What's the fourth one?
Taxes.
Lower taxes, government efficiency. My gosh, right now, I was a mayor of a city right on the South Carolina border. We've got businesses moving 5 miles down the road to save money on their corporate tax, their income tax, and their sales tax. That's when they're making no money, that's a lot of money. We're losing the competition right now in this state. And we've got to tell the business community we're going to help them. And they'll start supporting us again as opposed to playing the game where, well, we better support the people in power. Because that's what the business community is doing right now. And they're going to lose the war for doing it. All right, what's the 5th one?
Ethics.
Ethics in government. All right. Quick story. President Bush came to Charlotte about 4 years ago when I was at it. I apologize if you heard this story, but I love giving it. I was sitting at a table at the front, right here, right near the end of the speech. The Secret Service agent came up to me and said, "Excuse me, sir, but we need to see you backstage." So I went backstage, and the Secret Service agent went, "We understand you need a ride back to the airport." I didn't need a ride back to the airport, I lived there. So I'm thinking in my mind, what's the answer I give? And I realized the Secret Service agent thinks I'm Richard Burr.